Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Now recently we published a competition puzzle by Sam Kappelman Lines and we awarded a prize for the best solution, and the winner, chosen by Sam for coming up with the best logic and the most beautiful presentation, was Clover. And I erroneously referred to Clover as being a man, when in fact she is a lady. So big apologies, Clover. And by way of apology, what I'm going to do today is try one of Clover's Sudokus. Now this comes extremely highly recommended, I will say, and it's called Asterisk. And I think that must be this shape in the middle of the grid, which I have to say, to me anyway, looks more like Clover than it does an asterisk. But maybe if you called the puzzle Clover by Clover, that wouldn't have made as much sense. So anyway, this is what we're going to do. Before we get on to that, do check out Joke van Veenendaal's Puzzle Hunt, which we've released just now on our Patreon page. It's completely free. You can go to Patreon, follow the link under the video, download it and play it. And it's aimed at kids, but it's also good fun for big kids. I can say that because I enjoyed it. So do try it out. I think you'll like it. Now the rules of Clover's puzzle I should read to you. We have got normal Sudoku rules apply. Each main diagonal must contain all of the digits from 1 to 9. So these are marked in blue in the puzzle. Digits in a cage may not repeat and must sum to the small clue in the top left hand corner of the cage. So we've got standard killer Sudoku cages, look. And digits along a thick grey line form a palindrome. So the Clover in the middle of the grid is made up of two palindromic lines. And what is a palindrome? Well, that means this line here has to be read the same forwards and backwards. So whatever digits we put on this line, we should be able to read them backwards and it should be the same sequence. So let's try and do that actually. If we go 5, 6, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's an 8 cell palindrome. So 9, so 5, 6, 7, 8, then we'd have to go 8 again, 7, 6, 5. Now, if we read this forwards, it goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5. If we read it backwards, it should be exactly the same sequence. 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5. So this would be a valid palindrome. It's almost certainly not the palindrome we're after, though, unless I've got extremely lucky. So let's delete that and get back to the starting position. Do have a go yourselves. The way to play is to click the link under the video, and with that I get to play. Let's get cracking on our apology video. Now there is not a great deal of information here, is there? We've got 3 given digits, more than we get sometimes, but one thing that is slightly concerning, if concerning is the correct adjective, it might be better to say worrying or disconcerting, is that none of these killer cages look useful at all. None of these totals are sort of extreme enough for us to know anything about. Maybe that one has to have a 1 in it actually, because there's no 2 in an 18 cage. So 3, 4, oh no it doesn't. 3, 4, 5 and 6 adds to 18, so that's no use. Bobbins. I thought I might be able to prove there was a 1 in this box, but I can't. So, wow, actually this is actually very difficult. What are we meant to do here? Are we meant to use the palindrome somehow? We don't actually know anything about what's on the palindrome, though. Oh, we can probably... Maybe we have to show 1 is not on the palindrome. Is that a sensible thing to do? It is at least interesting. I'm just going to think about this because I've got nothing else here. So that can't be a 1 because the reflection on the palindrome would be that cell, which is in the same box. So that can't be 1. That can't be 1 because it's already in the box with the 1. That one... yeah, that one can't be 1 because the equivalent of this cell is that cell, which is in the same row as a 1. The palindromic equivalent of this one is that one, which can't be a 1, and this one can't be a 1, it's in the box. This one can't be a 1, it's in there. This one reflects to there, and that one. So you can't put a 1 on this palindrome. And I presume, therefore, you can't put a 1 on this palindrome because this palindrome is exactly the same shape as that one, just reflected around 180 degrees. So you can't put 1s on the palindrome. So none of those cells can be a 1. Now, unfortunately, that still means they could be 8 other digits on the palindrome. Why does it... Oh, I've just had an idea here, and if this isn't the idea behind the puzzle, then Clover, I insist you use the idea I'm about to say and make another puzzle, because this is actually quite a clever idea. I'm just wondering if you can avoid there being a 1 in the Fistamofel ring, then you know the makeup of that 18 cage, because you know it can't contain a 1 and it would have to be 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you can't put a 1... this is actually what Clover has done. This is very, very clever. I love this. What an idea for an entry. So we've got... You can see the yellow squares can't be 1s. We've looked at that already because they're on the palindrome. Now, 2 and 3, knowledge bomb from cracking the cryptic, can't be 1s. Now look, we're just left with this cell. Well, that can't be a 1. It's in the same column. That one's in the same column. And those two are on the diagonal with the 1 already. So in fact, you cannot put a 1 in this ring. And therefore, we know by Fistamofel you can't put a 1 in any of those cells. Now, I realise if you've not come across Fistamofel's theorem, that probably sounds like complete gibberish. Let me do some colouring and show you why I think this is true. So, Fistamofel released a post on Logic Masters Germany many months ago which caused quite a kerfuffle in the Sudoku world, because he showed that the red cells, this red ring of cells, there are 16 cells in that red ring. The digits in that red ring are identical to the digits, the 16 digits in the 2x2 squares in the corner of this Sudoku. And that holds for any Sudoku. Now, it's a pretty extraordinary thing, and we've got fairly used to using it on the channel, but again, if you're new to the channel, you may not have seen it, and you may also doubt it. You may think that sounds like witchcraft. It did to me when I first heard it. So why is this not witchcraft? Why is it actually just true? The way to think about it is to... Let's think about the red ring in terms of rows and columns. So what I want to try and do is define that red ring by reference to the rows and columns that it's part of. So I'm going to start with row 3. In fact, I'll make those dominoes at the edge green. So if I'm going to define these red cells in the red ring, just the ones in row 3, you can see these are the set of digits from 1 to 9, that's the whole row, minus whatever we put in the 2 green dominoes. So these red cells are equal to the set of digits 1 to 9 minus the 2 green dominoes. That means those 5 cells there, those 5 red cells, are equal to the set of digits 1 to 9 minus those green dominoes. Now let's look at the column. These 5 cells are equal to the set of digits 1 to 9 minus those green dominoes. And these 5 cells are equal to the set of digits 1 to 9 minus those green dominoes. Now, it's not true at this point to say, aha, well, the red ring is therefore equal to 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus every green domino in the grid, because we will double count squares if we do that. Because when we defined those red cells, we can see that we said these were equal to the set of digits 1 to 9 minus these green dominoes, which is true. But when we defined these red cells down here, we did the same thing. Now, obviously, that cell is counted in both that group of 5 cells and this group of 5 cells. So to be precise, what we need to do is to say that the red ring is actually equal to the four sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus every green domino in the grid minus the 4 corner squares, because we mustn't double count them. And that will give us an exact definition of the red ring. And you may say, well, how in any way is that related to the blue cells in the corner? Well, that's what we're about to look at. Because now let's turn our attention to the blue cells in the corner. And rather than defining these by reference to rows and columns, let's define these by reference to the boxes they're in. So the blue cells, you can see that that box 1, contains one set of the digits 1 to 9. So the blue cells are equal to one set of the digits 1 to 9 minus the green dominoes minus that corner square there. Now that might sound familiar because this blue domino over here is one set of the digits 1 to 9 minus the green dominoes in the box minus that corner square. And obviously if we continue this round, we will be able to define the blue cells as exactly equal to 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus every green domino in the grid minus these 4 corner squares, which is the exact identical definition that we use to define the red squares. So in other words, the red squares and the blue squares are the same. They contain the same digits, not just the same sum, actually the same digits. And this is what I was using or thinking about in terms of the start. So if I now know, and I do know, that there is no 1 in the red ring, then there is no 1 in any blue square in this puzzle. And therefore, this 18 cage now cannot include a 1, so must be 3, 4, 5 and 6. And that is a beginning, isn't it? That is stunning. In fact, it can't have a 3 in those 2 squares, look, because there's already a 3 on the diagonal. And the 18 down here might be restricted because that can't contain 3 or 1, but it could have 2. So that could be 2, 4, 5, 7. That adds up to 18, and there's no latitude to that. So this is the makeup of this 18 cage, and that can't contain a 2 on the diagonal because of that 2. Now, wow, okay, so there is a lot now going on in this puzzle. The first thing I'm seeing is the quadruple in the leading diagonal here. We've got 4, 5, 6, 7 quadruple, which means that those 2 squares have to be the digits 8 and 9 because they are the only digits that we've not put in the 7 cells already. And these 2 8s and 9s are on their palindromes, so that one goes there and that one goes there, so we get 8, 9 pairs in columns 4 and 6. Wow, I love this. This is absolutely sensational. I'm going to actually get rid of the green highlighting there because it's bothering me. I'm going to leave the blue highlighting in. Now, 2. So 2 is limited, look, in this box, because it can't go in those squares by Sudoku, and it definitely can't go in a 13 cage. So 2 appears in the blue squares up there. And this puzzle is very symmetrical as well. 3s must go in those, because 3s can't go in the 13 cage. So what do I do now? Okay. Sorry, I know what I can do now. Where does 1 go in box 3? Well, 1, we know 1 isn't in the blue squares. We know 1 isn't in a 13 cage, and we know 1 is not on the diagonal because of the 1 here. So 1 actually must be in one of those 2 cells. Which means 1 is in one of these 2 cells in box 1, in one of these 2 cells in box 7. Remember, it can't go in the blue. And one of those cells in box 9. Which... 1... 1... Let's look at the 1 on the 18 cage. Yeah, look, 1 can't go in the Fistamafel ring. We know that, so it's not in any of those cells. It's not in either of those two cells. Now, can it go in either of these two cells? Well, no, because if it does, this 18 cage would have to be 1, 8 and 9. And that would mean there would be 3 cells in this box that all had to be the digits 8 and 9. So you'd necessarily have to repeat at least one of them, and that would break the Sudoku. So 1 is in one of those cells and one of these cells, which is not enough. Okay. So what do I do now? Sorry about this. I'm sure there is something I'm missing. It's probably to either do with the Fistamafel ring or the palindrome. Although, yeah, okay. Look at box 1. I've actually got the approximate positions of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s. So these squares have to be 7s, 8s and 9s. And that does lead to a triple in row 3. So 7, 8s and 9s in box 3 have to go in those cells somehow. So if we got, yeah, look, we've got the same thing here. Look, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s and 7s this time, not 6s. So those two squares have to be 6, 8 and 9. That creates a triple here, which means in this box 6, 8s and 9s are confined to 6 squares. But what's okay, that's good, but it's not. What am I not understanding about this? I'm so sorry if I'm missing something obvious here. So we've got a Fistamafel ring telling us that 1s don't go. 1s don't go in the corners. I've used that, I think. I've got palindrome. Oh, is it the 8s and the 9s? Oh, that would be clever. That would be clever. Is it? So what sorry, I'm not being very articulate. What I'm wondering is whether is it possible for there to be, oh, this is flipping clever. This is flipping clever. I think it's to do with 8s and 9s. I've got an 8 and a 9. I think it's that way round. Anyway, let's just double check that they are the same. 8, 9, that would put 9, 8. Yeah, okay, so these are different parity. So these two squares are an 8, 9 pair. But I don't think I can put another 8 or a 9 in the Fistamafel ring. These can't be 8s and 9s because of the 7, 8, 9 triple there. So those can't be. These can't be. So the question is whether you can put an 8 or a 9 in any of those squares. But these are all on the palindrome. So if this was an 8 or a 9, that's the 1, 2, 3. That's the 4th cell on the palindrome. So this would be the reversal. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's in the central box where you can't have another 8 or 9. So this square is no good. If that's 8 or 9, 2, 3. Ah, that can be actually. 1, 2. Oh, no, it can't because it's in. Oh, gosh. So this one reflects to there, which actually is in the row. So that doesn't work. This one is a second cell in, which is there, which is barriered by those two again. So you can't put, and by reflection, this obviously must be the same. You can't put another 8 or 9 on the Fistamafel ring. Now that must be important because I've got Oh yeah, this is massive. This is massive because, in fact, I might even have broken the puzzle. It seems too constraining. Oh no, it's okay. I think it's okay. So the 7, 8, 9 here mean that in these 6 cells, I've got to include the digits 7, 8 and 9. The 6, 8, 9 here mean in these 6 cells, I've got to include the digits 6, 8 and 9. But the maximum number of 8s and 9s in these 8 squares is 1, 8 and 1, 9. That's it. That is it. So here, if you put a 7, if the 7 in here goes in the 13 cage and this is a 6, 7, you'd have to put 8 and 9 in that box. Now that's okay for that box, but it's not okay for this box. Because if there's an 8, 9 in there, you can't put either 8 or 9 in here. And that means that this being a 6, 8, 9 means you'd have to put the 8 and the 9 in the 13 cage. Now last time I looked, 8 and 9 do not add up to 13. So you can't do that. It's the same. So you're allowed to put exactly one of the digits 8 and 9 in this 2x2 and exactly one of the digits 8 and 9 in that 2x2, and that's it. The other one will have to go in the 13 cages. So the 7 is not in the 13 cage. The 7 is in those cells, and the 6 must be in those cells here. Okay, well that's I mean that is fascinating. Does it actually help? Oh, I was about to say that is actually, maybe the Sudoku is now interesting. We've got 2 7s and 2 7s here. So in column 7, we've not put digits 2 and 7 in yet. And they can't go in those 3 cells. They can't go in those 3 cells. So they've got to go in 2 of these 3 cells. Now, can we... So these are all palindrome squares. So if this is a 2 or a 7, it's reversing there. That's okay. If this is a 2 or a 7, it's reversing here, which is not, it's most certainly not okay. That cannot be 2 or 7. This is not 2 or 7, so we get a 2-7 pair. And that means this one, 2, 3, 4, that's reflecting there. That's a, hang on, we get a 2-7 pair here. This is this is absolutely brilliant. So this 2-7 pair fixes a 2-7 pair in the central box of the Sudoku and gives us 2-7 pairs in row 4. So presumably I can do the same. Yeah, look, I can do the same thing with 3s and 6s. I can do the same thing on this side of the grid with 3s and 6s. So I've got to put 3 and 6 into this column. They can't go in those 6 cells. They've got to go in these 3 cells. And I bet you can't put a 3 or a 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You can't, because it's going to clash again. So this is not 3 or 6. This is a 3-6 pair. Oops, not a 2-5 pair, a 3-6 pair. That's going to reflect in, so the second cell on the palindrome becomes that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one is the other equivalent of this one, and we get a 3-6 pair in the middle, which means those 2 squares have to be a 4-5 pair. So that square is very restricted now, because that can't be... It can't be 2, 7, 8 or 9. It can't be 1, 4 or 5. So this is... and it can't be 3. There's a 3 in the column. That is a naked single. I think it's a 6. So let me just double check this. We've got 1, 4, 5. We've got 1, 2, 4, 5. Well, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. That is a 6. So presumably that one. That one can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 7. This puzzle is crazy. It is crazy. Now, what does that mean? I'm sure it means something. I've just got to work out what. So this one, actually, that's on the palindrome. So those two squares, well, they're quite restricted, aren't they? Because they've already got 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 1, 3, 4, 5. It can't be 1. So this is 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. It can't be 3. Wow. So this is a 4, 5 pair. We're almost at the point where we know, well, we've still got some gaps on the ring, but we can get these two as well, presumably. So this one can't be 1, 2, well, it's got to be 1, 2, 4 or 5 again. It can't be 1, it's 2, 4. Oh, and it can't be 2, so this is the same. Sorry, I'm sure some of you appreciated that instantly, but there is a 4, 5 pair. So probably I want to look at these squares now, because, although maybe not actually, I don't think they've actually got very much. Well, I'll check what they can be. It's got to be 1, 3, 4 or 5. And this one's 1, 2, 4 or 5. It can't be 1, there's a 1 in the column. There's probably a way of restricting that further, but I can't see what it is. But we now have got the Fistemafell ring locked down. We've got... this 9 cage is rather beautiful now, because what can this 9 cage be? It can't be 2, 7 or 4, 5. If it's 4, 5, that cell would have no value. And look, there's actually a 3, 6 pair there looking at that one, so it's not 3, 6 either. So it's 1, 8 and there's a 1 there. So this is 4, so this is 1 and 8. That's not 8. That is a 1. And... oh, come on. So this one's 3, 4 or 5 now. 6 is ruled out of those two squares on the diagonal. So presumably, yeah, okay, 7 gets ruled out of the other cells on the other side. We've got... oh, okay, I'm not sure what to do. We've got lots of things. This 13 cage is either 4, 9 or 5, 8, but both seem to be possible, even with this being an 8. I don't know that this is an 8 here. The 8 could be there. Six, 4, 5s. Oh, I know what I might be able to do. Ah, yeah, okay, sorry. Let's come back to this palindrome, because that cell, whatever that cell is, its equivalent is that cell, because those two cells have to be the same digit. So let's colour them in. Whatever these are, where does that go in this box? Well, this cell can't be a 3, 6. That cell can't be a 3, 6. So that cell is purple and it's a 3 or a 6. Now we might be able to do that more. If this is 4, 5, the equivalent of that one, oh, okay, we can still do it with this one. It's just more complicated. So the equivalent of this one, let's colour that in green, is that one. So that's green, which means that one is not. So if this is 4, that will be 4, that will be 5, and that will be 4. So these 3 squares are the same, which means that square must be green. So that square is a 4 or a 5. That gives a 4, 5 pair here. Nearly a 4, 5 sort of 2, 7 thing. 2, 4, 2, 7. So we've got 3, 6 and... yeah. Look at these 2 squares. These 2 squares must be 3, 6 or 9 to complete this box. But they go with that one. That's a 3 or a 6. With the 3, 6, 9, that gives a triple. That square cannot be a 9 anymore and must be an 8. That's a 9. That's a 9. That's an 8. That felt like a huge breakthrough. Is that not a huge breakthrough? We've started to make a little bit of progress with the palindromes. Oh, yeah, that maybe it is. 9 here can't go there anymore. So this becomes 7, 8. This must be a 1, 9 pair. That must be important. 1, 9. Yes, it is, because that 13 cage now can't be 4, 9. So this is 5, 8. That's a 4. That's a green 4. So everything green turns 4. That makes that one a 5. That must be a 5. That must be a 5. So 5 must make an appearance up here. Oh, actually, look, there's 1s and 5s making appearances up there. So that's a 1, 5 pair. Oh, we had that anyway. If I'd looked at this row, we've got 2, 7 pair and a 3, 6, 9 pair. 9 must be in the 12 cage now. It can't be there. So this is a 3, 9 pair. Which, well, that fixes that one, which is purple, which fixes the other purples, gives us a 3 here. Those two must be a 3, 9 pair now. That's not 3. And it's not 5. That's a 4. So that's not 4 anymore, which we knew anyway. Actually, this row... Oh yeah, look, there's an 8 there looking at that cell. So this is a 6, 9 pair. So this is from 1, 2 and 5. 8 must go in those squares. So this column now, again, this 13 cage, of course, is fixed. I should have thought about it. Once you get this one, it seems the logic is just reversed. You can just flip it on its head. So that square's a single now. That's just got to be a 3. That fixes the 3 and the 9 and the 6. Eight's in one of those two squares by Sudoku. That's just those 8s interacting. 3s are in one of those two squares by Sudoku. In the 8. Oh yeah, look. 3 is in the 18 cage. So the other two digits add to 15 but can't use a 9. So we're going to have to use an 8. So the 8 must go here. And this must be a 3, 7 pair. And that's not 8, therefore. So we're looking at this square's a 2, I think, because it can't be a 5 or a 7. So that's a 2. That fixes the 7, fixes the 2, fixes the 5. That means this is a 1, 2 pair. These two squares have got to be 1 and 6. And dropping down those have got to be 2 and 7. It still looks like it's not broken yet. That's 1, 6 pair. This is another. I mean, we've done so many Sudokus recently that have been unutterably stunning. And this is another one. It's just frightening how good some of these puzzles are now. It is frightening. 2-8 here. So now I'm tempted actually to get rid of all my pencil marks in the 2x2s, because you can see I can work out roughly what's in these now by looking at the box. So this one needs a 2, 5, a 7 and an 8. So I'm going to fully pencil mark both of them and then come back and do some eliminations. That's got to be 3, 4, 6 and 9. So what can we get rid of here? We can get rid of 8 from those squares by this 8, and we get the 8 straight away. That's an 8. That's not 2. 5 is 5 and 7 are on the diagonal, so that is a 2. So this is a 5-7 pair. The 2 does nothing for us. Oh, it does down there. It gives us a 2 there. This is 4, 5 and 7. That's not 4. It's a 5-7 pair here. So this diagonal now, let's look at, yeah, this is very restricted. This can't be 4 or 6. Oops, 4 or 6, not 4 and 7. So this becomes 3, 9. That means these become 4 and 6. Now, how does this get resolved? So is it, maybe it's this diagonal then? There's got to be a 6 in one of those two squares, because there can't be a 6 in one of these two squares. So we get rid of the 6's. Get rid of those corner pencil marks there. They're annoying me. Sorry. This is things that you can do when you don't know what to do. So everything's aligning now. This is worrying me. How do you resolve this? Alright, you can do some trickery. This is tricky though. This square, well, let's ask the question, can this square be 5? And the answer is it cannot, because if that's a 5, it rules a 5 out from this cell on the diagonal, and it rules a 5 out from that cell in its row, and you can no longer place a 5 in column 8, which is not going to be a good thing. So that's not 5. That does give us a 4, 6 pair in this column. That gets rid of a 4 from that square, I think. 3, 5 here. Can't see anything else that gets eliminated there. So this not... Ooh, okay, now look at this row. 4, 6, 1, 9, 1, 6, 4, 9. That is a quadruple on 1, 4, 6 and 9. Which doesn't do... Gets rid of a 4 from that one. Ooh, 3, 5 pair now. Is that... Ah, yeah, look. Goodness me, that is tricky. That gets rid of 5 from this square, which creates a 4, 6 on the diagonal, which is going to give us another digit, because now I can get rid of 4 from this cell. So this is a 5, 7 pair, and that becomes a 4. And that better do something, or I'm in trouble. It does. That's going to come over here and fix that, which fixes this. That's 6. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. 9, 4 now. Now, did that do it? The answer is maybe. This 6 maybe as well. 6, 1, 1, 8. Yeah, 8, 5. The 2 here, I could have done the 2, 7 before probably. 7, 5. 5, 7. 7, 3. 3, 5. 5, 1. 1, 2, 2, 8, 8, 7, 7, 9, 9, 3, 3, 9. Yes. Oh, that is magnificent. What a puzzle that is. I mean, that does not need to be done as an apology. That needs to be done with reverence, because that is absolutely stunning setting. Again, loved it. Absolutely loved it. That is just beautiful. So Clover, well, yeah, you're well worth the merchandise we're sending you. And yeah, what a lady. Thanks very much for watching. Back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.